The Legend of Korra is a story about legacy. It depicts a world that suffered under the rule of evil, only to witness the rising journey of Avatar Aang, a true mythic hero set to defeat tyranny and liberate the masses. It's been 70 years since Aang ended that catastrophic war, and he has since been laid to rest, leaving an epic legacy no reasonable person could ever live up to. This background is important to understand not just The Legend of Korra as a show, but to understand The Legend of Korra as a meta-story as well. The world of Avatar loves Aang and considers him their greatest hero to ever live. Likewise, Avatar: The Last Airbender is by many considered one of the greatest television shows to ever be written, not just as a children's cartoon, but among all works of televised fiction. It's a beloved series that reached almost unanimous critical acclaim, and its legacy among fans has only deepened with time. Let's get this out of the way. Any story that is meant to follow The Last Airbender is going to be at a severe disadvantage. Now, that is not to say that no story could work. We've seen more than a couple comics be relatively well received. But any follow-up act to the cultural juggernaut that was Avatar had a titanic legacy to live up to. It's no coincidence that Korra's journey in her show mirrors that of the real-world journey of creating a sequel to The Last Airbender.
You're never gonna please everyone, especially with a sequel, so you may as well do what feels best. I think maybe we knew Korra as a character and a series was going to be more challenging for audiences, but that was what felt right to us.
In a Brandon Sanderson livestream, the author discussed the idea of sequels, claiming that a sequel by nature undermines the inherent story of its predecessor, but that's a choice worthy of making if you could tell a story better than what came before without betraying the emotional core of what made the original so great. That is a complex idea that we'll break down over the course of this video. At a glance, it almost seems that The Legend of Korra's directive is in overt conflict with that principle.
It was a deliberate choice to make Korra a very different character from Aang in multiple ways. That provided so many new opportunities with the stories and character dynamics.
Korra's very concept as a character seeks to undermine the Avatar archetype set up through Aang. The creators of the show clearly hold dear the story that they told all those years ago with The Last Airbender, but going into this, they wanted to do something distinctly different. They wanted a character that was the total opposite of Aang, someone who, instead of goofy and idealistic, was stubborn and angsty. Those descriptors are from the words of the showrunners. I think they're somewhat applicable to both characters, but definitely played to different degrees. In their interview with Polygon, they described Korra as being somewhat difficult to crack. The Avatar series has always held its inspiration on its sleeve. It's no big reveal that The Last Airbender has deep inspiration from things like Star Wars. And like George Lucas himself, the two showrunners seem to be heavily influenced by the work of Joseph Campbell. Avatar: The Last Airbender is loosely a hero's journey. While the strict framework laid out in Campbell's book doesn't line up perfectly with the story, you could see how Aang follows these basic trends. The catalyst of this series is him rejecting the call to adventure.